We're going to bring in Avis Jones de Weaver to the conversation as well. She's a political social commentator, a woman who knows a thing or two about leadership, black leadership as well. Avis, your reaction to Kamala Harris, now the vice presidential nominee for Joe Biden?
I cannot wipe the smile off my face. I'm super excited. I'm so glad he made this decision. I think it was a wise decision. I think it was the right decision. I think she's going to be a powerful addition to this ticket that's really going to get the base all excited and making sure that we're going to show up and show out on November 3rd.
If you are a black woman of color of a certain age, let's say you're 10, 12 years old, you see this news, what goes through your mind?
I can do it too. I mean, I think this is so important. It is impossible to really be able to express how important it is, especially for young people and black girls in particular, that so many have grown up having people sort of tell them that they're not pretty enough, that they're not smart enough, that quite frankly, they're just not enough, period. And to have this amazing woman who is so accomplished, who is so, yes, ambitious and rightfully so, to have her excellence be recognized at this level and to have her leadership be recognized at this level is so important. And I think it's going to make intergenerational reverberations in terms of what black girls think is possibilities.
Yeah, we're hearing that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will be together in Wilmington, Delaware, Joe Biden's home state, tomorrow to make a joint statement about this as this news now breaks. I'm also curious what you think this is going to mean in terms of, Joe Biden's political trajectory now. We know he's way ahead in the polls, doing very well nationally, doing very well in a lot of battleground states, and now he brings this. This is going to get a lot of attention and a lot of buzz.
Absolutely. A great deal of buzz. I mean, he has been, as you've mentioned, he's been outpacing Trump in really every poll imaginable. But really where he has fallen behind Trump consistently has been on this issue of enthusiasm. Trump's base seems to be much more enthusiastic about his candidacy than what Joe Biden could be able to boast about. But I really think that this particular pick is going to help him jump up, specifically as it relates to that enthusiasm lever. But most importantly, I think it's going to help people jump up in terms of turnout on November 3rd. What's going to happen in terms of the race in November is so much more important than any poll that we can take today. And the most important poll is actually who shows up at the polls. And what gets that to happen is enthusiasm. So this is what made this particular pick so important. Yes, he's leading in the polls. But in order to make sure that people not only show up, but that they overperform on November 3rd so that there really is no question as to the outcome of that race, we really needed to make sure that this base was excited. And there is no more important and deeper base for the Democratic Party than is black women.
Let me talk a little bit about sexism, misogyny, racism as well, and what you think Kamala Harris is now going to face, because she is tough. She's a prosecutor, in California. She's a senator. She has a really accomplished career. On the other hand, this is the Trump campaign. And, we were talking about what happened with Geraldine Ferraro in 1984, way back. But even we can think about Hillary Clinton, 4 years ago. So if you're Senator Harris, what do you need to prepare for?
The beautiful thing about selecting Senator Harris, this was actually a very wise decision on the Biden's campaign's part, because this is someone who's been vetted. This is someone who has already run a presidential campaign. So this is someone who's already had to face and fight back opposition research. She's also someone who has shown herself to be masterful on the debate stage, even making, Vice President Biden cower maybe just a tad, right? And we've seen her in action in terms of questioning people from the Trump administration in her role as a senator. She's made people like Justice Kavanaugh cower. She's made Attorney General Barr cower under her questioning. So this is someone who has shown herself to be a fighter in every sense of the word. And though we do expect the Trump campaign to throw everything at this ticket, I do believe with every sense that we can take in terms of her entire history that she is someone who is ready, willing, and able to fight back very powerfully.
And speaking of being ready, I mean, as she will now be the vice presidential pick, you know, given Joe Biden's age, given the fact that she will now be considered the automatic next in line for the Democratic Party, I mean, this could pave the way, depending on how the election plays out, to see this woman become the next president of the United States after Joe Biden. We'll see. But I'm just curious to get your read on the implications of that, Avis.
The path is absolutely there. You are exactly right. It is pretty much a given that the vice president at the end of an administration, if this ticket is successful, is seen as the next likely nominee of the party. It's not a given, but it's typically they have a huge advantage with that. And so this would be an amazing accomplishment to see a Black woman who could potentially be the next presidential nominee for the Democratic Party. It certainly sets her up in that direction. In fact, I have to be honest with you, I thought that that was one of those things that she had to fight against in terms of this entire process of being selected as a VP candidate. She was criticized as being, quote unquote, too ambitious. She was criticized as being someone who would want to be president from day one. And so would she really be in Joe Biden's corner? Because I believe, quite frankly, that was a kinder, softer, gentler racism and sexism that perhaps was trying to put out there the notion that a Black woman shouldn't be president. But I'm happy to see that Joe Biden did not yield to that type of mentality and that he, in fact, did embrace what I believe the best qualified person for the job, and that person is Senator Kamala Harris.
I'm so happy you brought up the term ambitious, because it's often used as code for women who, you know, quote, don't stay in their lane. And so you've got, here you have Senator Kamala Harris, who is a woman who has been, you know, unabashed about her political trajectory, but has also been measured as well. As you say, you know, was a senator, top prosecutor in California for many years, and, you know, ran her own presidential campaign, now being chosen as the vice president. And a woman who no doubt is well aware of what is now going to come and the scrutiny she is going to be placed under.
Absolutely. And even in between becoming a senator and a prosecutor, she was the attorney general of the state of California, the largest state in the nation, for 2 terms, right? And so this is someone who knows how to win statewide. This is someone who knows how to run a strong presidential campaign. This is someone who is savvy. She sits on very extremely important committees in the Senate. And so she already has exposure to foreign policy issues. She already is being very productive just in terms of her bill generation in the Senate, particularly even as it relates to this COVID crisis. And so this is someone who is ready on day one to be president of the United States under the most unfortunate of circumstances. And that really needs to be the most important arbiter in terms of who you choose. And because she meets that ticket, I'm so happy to see that Vice President Biden absolutely did go ahead and give her the nod.
Well, we're not sure how the president is going to react to this, and one never knows. But do you think he's got to be careful with how he takes on Senator Harris?
You know, we are used to him being ridiculous. I mean, he's at a point now, honestly, where a lot of people, I truly believe, do not take him seriously, not only in this country, but around the world. People just, it goes in one end after the other. And in fact, I believe that people on the other side would expect him to react in a very nasty way. That's just how he is. That's just who he is. But I have a warning for President Trump. The last people you want to piss off are Black women. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, well, okay. I certainly appreciate what you're saying here. And you know, one last question while we still got you here, and I appreciate you making so much time for us amid this breaking news. We really wanted to get you in particular on the show to weigh in on this. When you look at her career here, there were some questions about the fact that she was considered too much on the side of police in California and did not advocate enough on behalf of communities in color in San Francisco and elsewhere. Does that create a vulnerability at all in any way for Senator Harris?
I do believe that she has to frontally explain her record as it relates to criminal justice issues. I do also believe that in many ways her record has been grossly mischaracterized in the presidential campaign. And I was kind of disappointed, quite frankly, with the lack of response by her team. What I am excited to see her do, and I hope she does, is to address those issues frontally and to really be able to reassert the real information around her record. She was the first prosecutor, for example, in the nation to provide a program that would allow first offenders to be able to get retrained in terms of job training and get reacclimated back into the community. So she actually was a forerunner to what we consider now to be, quote unquote, progressive prosecutors. So it's up to her to really be able to set the record straight. And I'm hoping that she doesn't let these sorts of innuendos hang out there in the same way that she did during the primary. My hope is that she learned that lesson already. And as she moves forward to the main show, she's going to take on any charges much more aggressively.
Wonderful to have you with us on this, Avis, and thank you for taking the time.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Avis Jones-DeWeaver joining us there from Washington.